Will started composting in 1982 at Sonoma State University. In 1993, he started the Sonoma Compost Company. And through Sonoma Compost Company, he has diverted over 1.8 million tons of organics from the landfill. He's currently working as a compost consultant and as a principal in Renewable Sonoma. He is the co-founder and chair of the California Organics Recycling Council, CORC, another one of those great CRA technical councils you should join. And his topic today is, it ain't over until the overs have a home. So with that, we will turn it over to Will.
Thank you. Do I have a slide presentation? If not, I'm in trouble. There it is. Okay. So, we're going to start out in bucolic Marin County, where we make beautiful compost, very, very clean. Or you can deal with something like this here that has maybe 30–40% contaminant in it. It's like, that's going to really determine what you can do with your end product. Wood scraps, you can have them clean, or you have C&D with a lot of contaminants in it. It's like, what are we going to do with this here? Probably C&D is going to be heavily affected by what I'm going to talk about here. Well, the wood we can screen and make a beautiful landscape product out of it. Our compost we can screen, make a beautiful product out of it that people like. A saleable compost meets the standards of the people that want this here. And then we have, so what comes out of the back door, right? If you have clean material, you can screen it about ½ inch-. It gets dirtier, people screen it finer and finer, so you see less and less contaminant. But that means you're going to get more and more of these overs. So, here's what comes out of the back end. The one on the right there is a pile that came from a feedstock that has maybe about incoming 1% contaminant with it. On the left-hand side, quite a bit more. Even the 1%, we did a cleanup on it. It's still hard to get rid of that material, even in biofuel plants. So, the biofuel plants was not really a stable market, but it was a market that we could take it to. It takes about 15%. This has come to a grinding halt. It's like, you cannot take it to the fuel plants anymore. It used to be stable, but now, it's like, number one, we have a lot of dead trees in the Sierras. That has preference to go to these plants. Agricultural waste, clean, that has preference to go over there. They don't like these urban waste anymore to come over. So what we have right now is what's called Woodageddon. It's a big problem. Where do we go with this material? So crap in, crap out. That is just really simple, right? So you can get the compost clean, but how about these overs? What are we going to do with that? Recycle, it's like, so we can look at mulches or taking it back into the compost. But what it really means is that you have to emphasize clean feedstock. And so to me, when I hear people say, oh, well, we don't care about how much crap we have in our compost because we got these short lines and we take care of it. You may take care of it to get good compost, but still you have crappy overs that you don't know what to do with it. So we need to look at, it's like getting clean material and the post-processing. So if you recycle it back in the compost, because that's one option you have. But if it has a lot of contaminant in it, now you just add contaminant to contaminant back into your compost, and it gets worse and worse and worse. It's a closed circle. So mulch is another use that we can look at here. So I'm going to pass a bag around here. It's called my chunky mulch. And Stop Waste just used this here, and it's one of their most favorite mulches. This came out of my composting process, has been nice and rounded by the windrow turner, has some leftover residue in it. Beautiful mulch, right? Is it easy to get this here? Absolutely not. This here works with the Marin compost where I don't really take in any green can clean material. So this here came from Sonoma Compost where we had about 1% contaminant in it with a cleanup in it. That is not still sellable material. It's like it has way too much plastic in it. So the question is this here clean enough? It's like, well, maybe, but when I walk around the pile, it all looks beautiful, but you're going to dig into it and you still find stuff. It's like, so what is the cutoff line? It's like, because in the market, it's like, even if you use CalRecycle's new regulation for finished compost, you get stuff like that in a mulch like this here, because this is your coarser stuff, and more of your contaminant ends up it, you will still find a lot of contaminants. So how are we going to deal with that? It's a problem. So what's needed is, first, instill respect for organics. It's like there's this lady in Denmark that they say is solely responsible for a great diversion of organics in Denmark. And she keeps bringing up, we need to have respect for organics. We lack that. You know, it's like we think, you know, it's like it goes out the door, who cares? You know, it's like we need to get to a point where people really feel pride in the organics because it comes back to us. It comes back into our own backyard. You can't escape it. So you need to aim for clean feedstock. Don't buy into programs, in my opinion. If you believe that we need to get rid of these overs, that says, yes, we have the sorting, we can take as much contaminant as we want. You need to get it clean. 3% contaminant is too dirty. You need to get it down. We need to get appropriate equipment. We need to get new equipment that is better. We have these sifters right now, blowers, fans that we can put to take plastics out, but we have stuff that's the same density as some of the woody material, the hard plastics. How do we get that out? Well, they're working on some artificial intelligence that will recognize that maybe robotically we can get it out, but we need to invest in equipment that really recognize the contaminants to get this stuff all clean. And that takes a concerted effort by everyone in the industry. It's going to be a lot of work, and it takes a lot of determination to get there, but given the fact that I don't really see any feasible future for how else we can do this here, we need to get a concerted effort to clean these materials up. Then the question is there a market for mulches? And I believe there is. I've made many, many mulches. Right now in Marin County, I have a line of 5 different mulches that come out of these materials, and I can't keep enough in stock. What we have is, number one, if you have somewhat contaminant in it, the medium strips along freeways, they may be having a slightly higher tolerance level for something like this here. MWELO has a requirement in it for 3 inches of mulch in new landscapes of 500 square feet or more, or a revamp of 2,500 square feet. That is a potential market that can be tapped into. There are others. Lawn conversions require a lot of mulch as well. So it's like, I think that there is a lot of potential for mulch markets. It's underdeveloped at this point. I made up for the time because we started late. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
So now we have a lot of time for questions for Will.
Oh.
See anybody?
Mic coming.
So I'm interested specifically in the mulch overs and different uses that you have seen in the marketplace over the years. I've seen compost socks. I've seen woody material used as erosion control on constructions.
Right. Yeah, and all of that is true. It's like when we had the fire in Sonoma County, I made these bioremediation socks, and I used the overs in there because what's nice is that the compost has a bioremediation function. The wood lasts a lot longer than the straw because the straw compacts, whereas the wood chips allow more water to come through the filter. So that's a perfect use. However, it breaks down, right? And so, you know, it's like if you have crap in there, the bag breaks down, now you have crap laying out in the field again of that material. So you can't say, well, it's stuffed in the sock, and therefore it's out of sight. No, it's not. It's going to come back to haunt you again. So, you know, it's like you really got to think it through what you're going to do with it. And it still comes down to, if you want to be a reputable supplier of anything that you do, you want to get to cleanliness. Mm-hmm. Okay, next.
Got another one right there.
Hi, I have a question about the compost. So when you talk about contaminants, do you guys remove the contaminants by hand? Or do you have some kind of machine that like blows out the plastic?
It can be both. So far I've done everything by hand. For the lighter plastic, you have a wind sifter that basically blows material through. The lighter fraction will blow off. It's absolutely ineffective against hard plastics. Then gravimetrically, you can also take care of rocks and glass. There are some companies that have had some success with that. That's particularly a problem with food scrap composting. So there is equipment out there, but there's also fractions, so it's really hard to separate out yet at this point.
Time for one more? Okay, we'll do one more.
One more.
Oh, they're already over here. Sir?
Is there a mic? What about the effects of food scrap recycling on the product quality? And you mean on the mulch and the overs at the end, or everything? Everything. On everything. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's well understood in the industry that as soon as you take food scraps that your contaminant rate goes up. I don't think that necessarily needs to be that way. Just talked to someone from Sweden. They said that Italy, out of all places, where we feel like, they're not the cleanest on these kind of recycling things, they have the cleanest recycling on organics in Europe at this point. And I'd like to go there and learn some lessons from them, how they do that. I think a lot of it comes down to education and people understanding that this is a closed loop. It's like we don't have to be as sloppy as we are. It's just, we go for the easier things, but I think people really need to get, and I come back to that respect. It's like there is something that changes with food scraps, right? You sit there and you eat, and you enjoy your food scraps absolutely until you put your fork and knife down. And after that moment, you need to have a napkin between you and the food because it's just the ickiest thing that exists. It's like, what is that? That food scrap is still the same that you just devoured before. It's like, and so let's keep that relationship in place and change our attitudes about it. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Will.